there's £22 billion missing from the books, and we've got to deal with that. I'm not going to ignore it. We've got to take tough decisions. Targeting the winter fuel payments is a tough decision.
The Labour's plan to cut winter fuel payment has now backfired, and it is not going the way Keir Starmer expected. It started out as a bold proposal to sway the economic landscape, but it has now caused internal conflict within Keir Starmer's party. Prime Minister Keir Starmer made a bold move by proposing to cut winter fuel payments. He argued that slashing billions from the winter fuel budget was necessary for economic growth. However, this didn't go over well with Labour members. Most Labour members weren't buying it, especially the unions. On the final day of the conference, Labour members voted against these proposed cuts, sending a clear message to Starmer. According to reports, cutting winter fuel payments could save the government about £1.5 billion per year. But is it worth it when it comes at the expense of those who are already struggling?
Now move on to Composite 15 and an economy for the future. Can I see all those in favour? Thank you, and all those against?
In a show of hands, the motion opposing Starmer's winter fuel cuts was higher. While this vote is non-binding, it was a clear sign that Starmer's policy doesn't sit well with his own group.
Or making some of the poorest in our society pay. Friends, people simply do not understand. I do not understand how our new Labour government can cut the winter fuel allowance for pensioners and leave the super-rich untouched.
The unions have been very active in this debate. The Communication Workers Union and Unite, two important allies of Labour, have pushed back against the proposed cuts, fighting for the needs of pensioners. Their involvement shows the importance of union support in Labour politics, especially for issues affecting the working class. The union's stance is not just about opposing cuts, it's about protecting the social safety net that has defined Labour's mission for decades. The winter fuel allowance helps millions of elderly citizens cover their heating bills during the harsh winter months. Many pensioners rely on these payments, especially now, with the rise in cost of living. The proposed cuts would strip billions from the winter fuel budget, affecting nearly 10 million pensioners across the country. For many, it's not just a question of comfort, but survival.
What about the people?
Starmer's stance seemed to disregard the everyday struggles of the elderly, which raised questions about the government's priorities. How can a government that claims to represent the working class justify taking money away from those who have contributed to society for decades?
Social media. We've also got a speaker here today called Chris, and she's representing.
It's fabulous that we're here today, but I've got no prepared speeches.
Tax the rich and make them pay! Keir Starmer, hear us say! Tax the rich and make them pay!
The public's reaction to the proposed cuts has been quick and negative. Many voters feel this move shows a lack of understanding for the elderly, a group that has historically supported Labour. The proposed cuts to winter fuel payments are seen as not only financially damaging, but also morally wrong. Social media is filled with frustrated comments, with many users pointing out that while the government tries to save money, it ignores the rising cost of living.
I made the choice to means test the winter fuel payment so that it's only targeted at those most in need. I know that not everyone in this hall or in the country will agree with every decision that I make.
Labour's leadership, which is headed by Chancellor Rachel Reeves, defends the move. She argues that cutting these payments is part of a broader fiscal strategy to stabilise the economy. According to Labour's calculations, the plan would save around £1.3 billion per year, and around £1.5 billion in subsequent years as a result of the policy. The proposal would also eliminate national insurance relief on employer contributions to pension schemes.
My meeting that I'm doing later, which is, that will have happened by the time you talk, but I can't talk about what I said in the meeting afterwards, so it's good to do this interview beforehand. I have many other issues, carers allowance, lifetime ISAs, lots of other things are on the agenda. It wasn't originally about winter fuel payment, but I will be making, as strongly as I can, the point that I think this is a dangerous policy. They have to find a way of filling the gaps for those who are on pension credit and not claiming, even if that's all they do. It still, I think, is too narrow.
But many experts warn that this short-term fix could have devastating long-term effects. Pensioners already struggle with rising costs, from heating to groceries. Cutting winter fuel payments will only add to their burden. If this all sounds familiar, it's because it is. During Tony Blair's government, similar punish the pensioners policies were rolled out, leading to anger among the elderly. And now, with Starmer, it feels like history is repeating itself.
Politically insane to make your very first announcement that you're taking money away from pensioners, many of whom are already struggling.
Pensioners, already facing a cost of living crisis, feel betrayed. Many who voted for Labour didn't expect this. The image of the Labour Party as a protector of the elderly is at stake. Historically, Labour has been seen as the party for the working class, including retirees who have spent their lives contributing to society. This cut could damage that relationship, leading to a loss of trust that might be hard to regain. And now pensioners find themselves having to ask local councils for assistance. Ironically, the government is sending back a portion of the money they claim to save to these councils to help with the problems they've caused. Many believe that there will eventually be a reversal of this decision due to its unpopularity. Research suggests that if these cuts go through, thousands of pensioners could face serious health risks this winter. In the next few weeks, as the government prepares for the budget session, all eyes will be on Starmer. Will he listen to the voices within his party and the public, or will he continue with a controversial agenda that could backfire even more? What happens next will be crucial for the party and the millions of citizens who rely on these payments.